let's move over to this now. Ohio State offense versus Texas defense. I'm not gonna like troll here. I've heard other people be like, "How long does Brian Hartline call plays?" I heard that on Menace Sports, which was funny. Like, how long does Ryan Day allow him to do that? I think he's gonna call plays this whole game.
Yeah.
But what is your level of confidence in him to do so?
I gave him till week 4 to I give him a full grade. I'm not going to grade him on this game. I think you guys have a really good defensive coordinator. I think you guys have a really good defense. I think coming into the season is the best front seven in college football. And I know a lot of people, they talk about what happened a few years ago in 2023. He was the pass game coordinator. He wasn't calling plays. And a lot of people think that he had that stripped away from him when in actuality, from the start of the season, he never called plays. He had some and we all know calling plays is a joint thing throughout the week, and you make the game plan. But that wasn't his thing. But confidence level, I honestly I don't even have one so far right now because I don't. It's hard to gauge it without any proof of concept. But what I will say for BH is that Ryan Day has done is that he's put a lot of safe rails around BH. Of course, the talent is the talent, awesome. But on top of that, Ryan Day goes to Brian Hartline, asked about bringing Tyler Bowen in. Been one of the better run game coordinators in college football, has offensive coordinator experience, and he was all for it. And what I think that does is that it helps bring guys into the locker room who had that experience, right? I'm slipping on his name right now, but we bring in another Patriots guy that's been with Matt Patricia, for 10 years. I was listening to another Texas show earlier today, and for some odd, clearly they don't pay attention to anything other than Ohio State. He's not there for the defense. He's actually there to help out the offense. So that's what Ryan Day actually wants him to do. So we'll see. Right now, honestly my biggest, I won't say concern, but the biggest thing from right now is BH going to be on the field, or is he going to be up in the booth? That's more of I would prefer him be on the field, but I would understand him being in the booth, honestly, because you have Ryan Day on the field already. Ryan Day, I don't think he needs any help down there. And then also when it comes to like taking play calling duties away from him, I don't think that's going to happen all season. Because Ryan Day doesn't want to call plays anymore, and that's what helped us win the national championship. Two, Ryan Day is not. I don't think Ryan Day is the person you go to coach you on how to set up a run game. So last year you have Chip Kelly, one of the more innovative offensive coordinators in college and football history. You get some time with him, you get to learn from him, see how that works out. Again, I said Tyler Bowen earlier. So I think that, and he's been there for 9 years with Ryan Day. He's been there the whole step of the way. So I think that helps out Brian Hartline. Again, confidence level, not sure, because it ain't hard to call plays. It's hard to structure. It's hard to structure them, and so that's more what I'm worried about for him.
Yeah.
On that same note, I think much like Texas, folks over-index on like Ohio State wanted to push the ball because they've got because they've got all these wide receivers, but like the offense, especially last year, like Chip Kelly is going to run the ball. Like that's what Chip Kelly does. But a Chip Kelly run game is like a very specific thing. And so like, what do we anticipate in that avenue from Ohio State? Because it's obviously going to look different. Chip Kelly, specific thing he's going to do. Brian Hartline, probably not. Again, nobody's Chip Kelly, right? There are very few Chip Kellys in the world. So like, what does the run game really look like with Chip Kelly calling plays?
Magical.
Or with Brian Hartline calling plays.
Well, I think so all last season until the playoffs, or not all regular season. After the Oregon game, we went the gap scheme. Still running gap end zone. Then in the playoffs, we basically primarily went gap scheme, which really helped us out. I think we're going to be a primary run team first. Everyone thinks that because Brian Hartline, best wide receiver recruiter developed in the nation, Ohio State's automatically going to pass the ball. I don't think that's going to be the case. We bring in the interior offensive line from the playoffs with Tegra at right guard, Montgomery at left, and Carson Hinsman. over at center, which, by the way, this will be his second full year starting. He was a starter in 2023 before Seth McLaughlin came in, which is why I was so confident in him in the playoffs. At left tackle, it's going to be Austin Sarabeld. Now, Austin Sarabeld has never played left tackle. And I've talked to some people that have harped on that, Texas fans that have harped on that. But this is why I'll say this. So at Ohio State, we have this thing called Iron Buckeye. Only a few players on the team get it. It's a big award. It's something that basically you do all the right things. You work hard. You make progress. And he was one of the winners of it. A few months after that, during the spring, they said, and mind you, that's what Ethan Anianwa at left tackle at the moment, from guy from Rice. And we have Philip Daniels come in and Tegra still at right guard or battling for it. They said Austin's going to start no matter what. We just don't know where. Ethan Anianwa was still playing pretty good during the camp at left tackle, and then they decided, we're putting Austin at left tackle. So now I'm pretty sure it's going to be probably Philip Daniels or and using Ethan Anianwa as a swing tackle. But I think with that being said, I do think this offensive line is going to be a contention for the Joe Moore Award this season. I think this is going to be Ryan Day's best offensive line he's had since, and not the most talented offensive line, but it's going to be the best offensive line he's had since he's been at Ohio State. And then on top of that, when we bring in C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia, over the last 2 seasons he had there, he was a 700-plus yard rusher. Was about 240 pounds when he was there. Now down to about 230 pounds. He looks faster, looks lighter on his feet. And I think, and not saying that he's Quinshon Judkins, which, by the way, Quinshon, if you don't want to sign with the Browns, please, sir, come back. Yeah, but I think that same for him. I looked at Judkins' yards per carry when he was at Ole Miss, just under 4 or 5 yards a carry. I said, this is going to be the best offensive line he's ever played with in his life. It's going to be a little different for him. And I think the same thing for C.J. Donaldson. James Peoples, Texas boy. I think my hot take of the year is that I think he's going to average well over 6 yards a carry this season, somewhere around 6.3 to 6.4. I think he has that in him. And then when you look at our third guy, freshman with the greatest name in college football history, Lamar Bo Jackson. I think he's the most talented running back in that room. I think that I think he's the next one. I think he's the next Zeke Elliott. I think he's the next JK2K. I think he's the next Maurice. That's how I look at him. And so I think the running game is going to be pretty good this season. And I think that the only question is, and Julian's not a runner, but he's mobile. I think there's a weird narrative out there that he can't run. People, go look at his high school highlights. The guy had over 600 rushing yards in high school. So, but I do want to know, are we still going to do zone read? Because I think that Julian, if not, I do think that Julian doesn't have to be a runner, but he has to be a willing runner. So, yeah, that's how I feel about the run game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because I don't think people realize Brooks Austin here on YouTube does a really good job film breakdown wise and talking about the Cotton Bowl and how important Quinshon Judkins was in that game, because the guy always falls forward. He always finds hidden yards. He's a really good football player, and it's going to be interesting how they make up that difference, because I don't expect, obviously, those guys aren't going to come in and be as good as Quinshon Judkins right away, if they ever will be, but obviously a lot of talent in that room. And I think it's going to be interesting because, we talked about our offensive line, the interior versus your interior, is kind of like a question mark on both sides. And then it's like, you guys obviously have talent at your tackles, but then they're going against, in my opinion, the best edge group in the whole country right out of the gate with Colin Simmons, Ethan Burke, Colton Vosick, Trey Moore, Brad Spence. I mean, there's so many guys on this team, and that's one of the hot takes we did last week. I said 5 guys on this team for Texas are going to have 5+ sacks. I think it's going to be the best edge group Texas has had in my lifetime by far. Like, Brian Arakpo and Sergio Kino were a great duo, but there really wasn't a lot behind that. There's a lot behind Colin Simmons and Ethan Burke.
So, speaking about Colin Simmons real quick, I asked some Texas guys like last week. I said, how was Colin Simmons against the run? And every single one of them said, we don't know. Because, of course, he was like a spot rusher last season. And then today I was talking to some guys about it. They say, isn't he like 260? I said, no, he's 240. He's light in the ass. And I'm really curious about this because as great as a pass rusher as I know he is, and I believe him to be, I think he's a top 3 defensive end. I will still give Mateo Uiagalelei the edge because I think he can get sacks and he can stop the run at 270 pounds. I want to know what Colin Simmons looks like when big boy Luke Montgomery at left guards come around that edge. Because I've seen a lot of guys like Colin Simmons come out of Penn State. And they get ran through. And it's not to say that he can't, like, there's a really good chance. Like, there's a really good chance Colin Simmons is going to be good against the run, but I really want to know what that looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, in his spot time, I thought he got better progressively throughout the year. Obviously, true freshman, that's going to happen. And that's why he played more as well. Like, that's the thing. Sark's not just going to throw someone out there and say, you know what, you'll figure it out. He progressively got better against the run. He's also put on, I think, 10 to 15 pounds this offseason. He does look bigger, so that's going to help him, obviously. And the thing is, too, that's the great thing. Like, let's say he's neutralized from the run game. You have so many guys behind him that are big that you can just throw in there and be like, hey, you go get him this game. We don't really need Colin Simmons unless it's 3rd and 7. Then you can come in and you can rush the passer. So that's the thing. No. It's just it's so deep at the defensive line position. You don't like need Colin. Like, Colin Simmons could legitimately have the same stat line he had last game, which was 0 sacks, I think 1 or 2 tackles for loss, and like 2 batted passes, and we would be fine because guess what? There's like 5 other guys that can come in and wreak havoc as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like you said, I think it's a question mark because defensive line is the hardest place to break in as a freshman, right? Because you're a 19-year-old going against a 23-year-old. Like, it's just it's a child and a grown man, right? It is what it is. And so with that additional development, I think you will likely be a little more stout. I think you will be a little, but it is an open question. I think the other advantage that Texas has there is that the linebackers behind him that will be probably flowing downhill behind him make up for some of that deficiency. Anthony Hill's probably going to play edge at the next level. That's just kind of where he projects, not linebacker. And so like as Colin Simmons, more money, and just the way he plays, the way his body works, the way his body moves, right? He's got that like little extra pop with that closing speed. And so, I think to answer your question, I don't know, right? We haven't seen enough from him. Texas had better run defending defensive ends last year, period, end of sentence, right? But some of that's virtue of being a true freshman playing in the trenches. That's just part and parcel of it. Additional year, additional weight. I think Pete Kwiatkowski and this coaching staff are pretty aware. They've probably forgotten more about coaching defense than the 3 of us combined. No, period. So like if we could see that deficiency, I'm pretty sure they can as well. And so I think that's probably been an area of focus in the offseason. Now, when push comes to shove, like you said, when you've got a 315, 320 pound guard pulling on you, coming across the line, running trap, like, what are you going to do when that happens? So we don't know. I think the advantage that Texas has defensively is the number of guys they can throw at them. And again, that second level defender that's behind him helps out a little bit there as well.
Disrespectful. Put some respect on Michael Taft's name.
No, I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to do that.
He's good.
I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to put respect on Michael Taft. You guys can do better.
No, I think he's a B+ player. That's what he is. But like at the next level, it would be like a 6th round pick. Like, I'm being honest about that. That's what he is. But actually, honestly, the best safety on the team, everyone forgets this. There's a guy in the NFL right now that's going to make a lot of money named Andrew Makuba. There's a guy that's coming back from injury named Derek Williams that was starting over him. Yeah. So that guy's going to be a beast when he comes back for Texas. And I think, again, it seems full go for him as well. And he's been Gerald, he was our 2nd or 3rd best player when he came in as a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, like you said, Makuba had a pick 6 in the preseason this time last week. Like, Makuba was a legit safety for Texas, and Derek Williams was a starter last year before the injury. So, there's again, you
guys used to have the Earl Thomases of the world. What happened to that?
I mean, I think no one's as good as
Boats and Lakes
Thomas.
happened to Earl Thomas.
Yeah. No one's as good as Earl Thomas, but Derek Williams is, I think he's in that second tier of Texas safeties. I really believe that, like, talent-wise. He's super good. I mean, there was a difference between when you watched Washington first half college football playoff, and then Derek Williams was out for that first half because of a BS targeting call, and then he came in and they were less effective. I'm not going to say they were neutralized because they weren't, because Michael Penix went off, and we had two safeties playing cornerback that night, so that was fun. But so that is Ohio State versus Texas defense.